I'm Marie Thompson, and I am the school site facilitator at Evans Elementary School.
And I'm Erica Wills, and I'm the site facilitator at Bell Avenue. And today we're just going to continue our conversation about picking the Just Right book and how it's connected with our public libraries.
So what's nice about this is some of the objectives have already been touched upon. So what does the SRI score mean? SRI score is the Scholastic Reading Inventory, and it is through that score that we have a Lexile given to us. So that's where the child and the family can learn what the Lexile is and be able to use that to help choose the Just Right book for that child.
We're going to touch on what reports you can get. So as a parent, you can come into our schools, and during report card conferences, it's a big time that the teachers will give them to you, but you can also come in and request them and get more information about what Lexile level and what books are appropriate for your child.
So this is a chart that we use within the William Penn School District. The Lexiles are a band, so you do not just get one specific number you'll see for a grade level. But when we discuss Lexile scores for a second grader at the beginning of the year or a fifth grader at the end of the year, this is the number of the Lexile that we specifically look at. So we were really excited when we walked in November and found that we had this chart right near the computers that the children used here, because that's where we knew that bridge was being formed. And the children were able to say, oh, I know my Lexile score, let me look where I am. And then that helped them go onto the websites that are already put up into the favorites here at the Yaden Library.
So, based on your SRI score, there's different reading Lexiles that you'll take a look at. To be an independent reader, you want to focus on a book that is 50 points or more above your SRI score. And that's a book that, a child can read on their own. And they'll be focusing on the fluency and smoothness and expression. Again, that's 50 points below their SRI score that the student can read on their own.
And then for the instructional level, that's 25 points above or below. And for that purpose, the child may need some support, but we would be working more on the word attack and the decoding, some comprehension. So that's where that band would bring us.
And the last one would be the frustrational level. This is the books that are 50 points above their SRI score. And the child's going to need support to read this text. And that's something, these type of books you can read with your child. The fun books, the Harry Potters, the really thick books that they bring home and they say, oh, Mom, Dad, I want to read this. These are the books that you would read with them. And you would point out the comprehension, stop to ask questions to look at their understanding, make sense of unknown vocabulary.
So this is the point where I went, and I couldn't wait to get to this part of the presentation when in the entry you were speaking about how you don't want to discourage a child.
Oh.
We want a child to choose a book. And it's not for an instructional purpose. This is totally the love of reading. And to develop the love of reading, we want the child to be excited about the book. So if we have someone who's really excited about the Wimpy Kid diary books and there's no way to get even close to that for readability, that's where you would say, oh, okay, this is above the instructional level. Welcome and frustrational, so okay, let's do this as a read aloud. So this is time that you can spend with your child to read together. And we want to encourage. I never want to say, oh, you can't take that book. That's the last thing we want to say. It's just, how do we use the Lexile to really gauge what support the child's going to need? Is it a book that they can read to a younger child? Is it one that you read as a family? So that's what we would use this information for.
Very helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is just an example of a child score and the reports that you may get while you're in school from the teacher. And on here it will tell you the date of the test and what the Lexile results were for the Scholastic reading inventory. And at this point in the year, now that it's December, we've already taken a checkpoint in October, and we'll be taking another one in January. So, you know, again, we want to see an increasing of the SRI score and more readability, but as a parent, this is a report. Also at the bottom, it says, here are a number of things that you can do to support at home. And they're just little ideas, you know, that the parents can do, again, to increase that score.
So you could look for an updated Lexile score coming home mid-January. So here is another report, and this is an example of how you could have more than one result. So this has a result from October as well as in January, and it gives how you see the Lexiles went from a 707 and the students' Lexile increased to a 784. So when we say the students' Lexile, it kind of makes it sound like it's all about just the reader, but this is the Lexile level of the book that the child can read. So the Lexile is actually about the readability of the book, and both the complexity of a book along with the actual words, sentence structures, and then the things that go into developing the Lexile score. So here is another report that gives you the different ranges. So this report mirrors the instructional level, independent level, and frustration level that we spoke about on the earlier slide.
This is a recommended reading report, and this is a report that most teachers will send home during conference time. Based on the Lexile level, it gives a list of books. So it's very similar to going on to Lexile.com or some of the other sites that we've discussed prior, but this will give you a list of books that, based on what the child has chosen with the SRI inventory, they choose 3 things that may interest them. This list is compiled of that. And unfortunately, this list is not always accessible in our school libraries, but again, you may be able to come to the public library and request these books.
So we had built in to discuss the Lexile.com website, which is currently being used here. It's a site that you can access from home. So it's a very useful site that I don't think we need to speak much more about, but we encourage the use of this. It brings up more of a selection than what you would get from the report that we just showed earlier in the program.
On the behalf of the William Penn School District and our public libraries, we want to thank everybody for coming out, and we just want to continue to bridge that gap between our libraries and between our school districts. So make sure you come out and read.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I want to thank William Penn School District for coming out. I want to thank my trustee, Mrs. Sandra Wright, for starting this initiative here in the library. It's something that we truly need. And I just want to let everybody know that anytime you come to the Yaden Public Library, you will get the best service in the world. And like we always say, if it's happening in Yaden, it's happening at the Yaden Public Library. Thank you.